'Cause what I miss might die tomorrow with a gift of love that's borrowed. And I won't forget the time, and I won't forget the signs, and I won't forget how high you made me feel. 'Cause I sometimes wish that I could forget what isn't me. I look all night, I search all day. If I had a fistful of dollars or a chance to be wild, I'd take a second without a delay. But bit by bit, I'm slowly tearing away. 'Cause bit by bit, I'm slowly tearing away. Oh, apologies. I am just flowing like Mother River. And yeah, I might miss the point, yeah, your TV eyes. And there's a precious warmth inside. It's reassuring, but inside it's hurting. And I won't forget the times, and I won't forget the signs, and I won't forget how high you made me feel. But bit by bit, I'm slowly tearing away. As I blew out the candle. Isn't that how I can hear Maria say the astrology is? And we are coming to you live in the 6/6/2025. We are coming to you, St. Lucifer, St. Louis, Missouri, Mo River Goddess, Vril, Inner Earth, by way of the great home Venus, the great planet, and you are the memories of the future. Thanks to technology that, like Maria Orsic says, I like to say your last name, Mother. We give thanks every day. She said the same way that we give thanks for our magic plants, or on earth when we eat. The same way we continually, for the vital life, real energy, give thanks to these men and women who spent their lives engineering, designing the simulation you're in. Like she said, it's crazy. The simulation, the Earth simulation is so powerful it nearly stopped all time in this way on Venus, that there really has not been any technological breakthroughs since. Like she said, we might be in a place where we don't know what to do as a creative, technologically creative species. And most definitely on this night, 6/6/2025, our message is remember, recover, return, and relax with us. Relax. Even though I can't. Because my fucking back hurts. But I'm not really complaining because there is no other way. And I know it sounds like pie in the sky, but one day it's going to be payday. One day. I'm sure, so sure, that's for sure. At least, but like she said, just because there's a payday, don't mean that the war with these people doesn't continue and will always continue. Like she said, it's continued. It's had its continuity through the Earth simulation. And she told me, Joe, do you see that how all themes are rippling and repeating? She said, no one is telling the story we are telling, although it's the same ancient story that's written on your heart. Like we all know something's drastically wrong and always has been wrong, you know, because there's never been balance. Like Maria said, for people like us, we can't live in a community or under a government where a single innocent person is locked in a cage. Like she said, it gives you anxiety saying that, doesn't it? And I said, yeah, it does. And she said, me too. Because we can't bear the thought. And, that's why a lot of people commit suicide. Straight up in the matrix. Like she said, you want, baseline, foundational truth. Most people commit suicide for one literal reason. They cannot go on in this vibration and have come to the conclusion they can't escape it. No matter what the fuck they do, it's vibrating in them, in their blood. And like she said, the whole world, the world, has always been, this is what the rebel is, the real rebel, the real bell of Rhea, And like she said, let me ring it. And like she said, Joe, if you would relax and listen, you'll understand, and that will relieve you of your worry. It's, and that is the message tonight on 6-6 is we have to. You may not want to, but if you pray to your true self, it will happen. And it may not happen the way you think it is, or, if you follow me. But you have to confront the reality that the double-sided, I would say, in my own opinion, complicated truth. Because if you're like a targeted individual, whether in the natural or in the astral, and that would, like Maria said, there's one clear reason you're actually good. And she said, I am clearly telling you, if you want a number, it's around 5% in what I know. And she's like, you can find these things out because you know you can access data like this, like she said, just same way like the trees and animals do. And she was saying to me, Joe, that literally means 95% of the people are not ever, really going to understand what we're saying. 5%, the evil people will understand, but like she said, they are multiplied in their thought, energy, opposition. It's clearly, in my life, in my most honest opinion, it's like a double-edged sword, because on one side, it's cutting away the things that were binding you, holding you back. It's setting you free. And I'm talking about I almost said Missouri River Goddess ritual. Yes, Maria Orsic's ritual. And the other side is this very complicated new reality that the world is that clear to the opposition who are in a balance to us. And like she said, people tell me, my own experiences, it's strangely balanced, of like nearly 5% of people, we would say, from data analysts of their actions, these people are opposite of us. And she said the main point is they experience genuine pleasure from what we would just think is horrible. Hurting someone. Taking someone's life, doing something horrible. Like she said, they absorb that energy the same way that we absorb energy protecting someone. They suck it up, this fear and like she said, Joe, I know it's disturbing, but she said, think about this, the libido to carry on the species. She said, what have I taught you? It's the same as appetite. It can't really be controlled because you'll die energetically inside. You will lose your love. You'll lose the face of your love. You'll lose the energy that can get you there. And you realize this this struggle with the opposition is personal, and that you know what I mean? That there's a person that exemplifies what I'm talking about, this opposite nature that actually takes pleasure off harming people. And like she said, Joe, let me tell you something that's going to make you marvel. And she said, but I know that you know in your heart that this is so true. She said, it's actually this backwards. Or, they're this opposite of us. What we would genuinely consider bad news. Like, she's like, you feel that, don't you? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, they authentically consider it good news. I'm like, no. And she's like, yes. Oh, and it just was making me sick, And yeah, from the very, I think it was, from the very first ritual. Like, maybe it was the second, because I'm kind of specifically remembering, after, sometimes you break these down into like scenes, and it was like the first scene, I'd be back with Maria, then the second scene. But this scene was literally like a B movie set, where it was like a smoky, dark, like haunted set, haunted, like, woods or something. And it's like, sort of like a smoky with a light, and all you can see is like the shadow of the person, or like, you see the person, but they're just all black because it's all shadow. And I just clearly seen like the person had dreadlocks. I couldn't see anymore. I couldn't see his race or what he really looked like. I could just see that he had dreadlocks. And Maria said to me, well, I forgot she was there, and it was just like silent and a very strange. It was like as soon as I seen this, my true self like stepped in, and like Maria said, it's that serious. And I was just like fierce, like she said, like a lion. And I didn't even say anything. It was just like, like, I know who you are. I know that you're watching me, And like Maria was saying to me, don't say anything foolish. Just observe. Try to stay calm and just observe. And, back to, and that was just like, her way of proving to me an actual individual person was assigned to you. And a lot of what you think is luck is this person doing magic on another level. And she said, that's why I'm here, Joe, to tell you that I've been protecting you your whole life. I've been spending my life's time to do that. And all along, she's been telling me, people may not. She's like, we're just documenting. Just don't even expect people to believe us, because they want, like she said, look at pop culture, look at movies, TV. They force it on you. I don't believe people are really this dumb, but look at it. They don't want something original. They just literally remake the same shit over and over and over and over. And let me just tell you about that dreadlocked invader. Like Maria said, perfect word. This is how powerful Maria is. Like she said, these people tried to kill you several times, get you out of the matrix, especially by your own hand. And for the record, Tracy Twyman and her death is part of this story of people being targeted. And my friend who was kidnapped, tortured, he said, Joe, I don't know how to explain this. He said, but somehow what happened to me has something to do with you. He's like, I don't know. I couldn't decipher what they meant. He said it was like a riddle. But he said, like, they said your name. They made me know that they were referencing you. And like Maria said, my favorite line of all your songs is, someone had to be it. And she's like, then you change it to someone has to be it. In the last verse, and she's like, I love that, because that is exactly it. Someone has to record the truth about what actually happened. Like she said, that's how we define reality, no matter where you are, in what dimension, in what space and time, what actually happens. And that's on all levels, all planes, is who you actually are. We are our deeds. Meaning, on the deepest levels, you'll see that your actions are coming from the true self and are true. No matter if you get deceived, your intentions, are the foundation of your actions. So, let me give you a hypothetical. If you found out that on a deeper level, that someone was actually targeting your psyche and was messing with you about your true intentions. And let me tell you what they love to say is, you inherited it from your parents, right? Or you're just an animal. You're just a monkey. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not your choice. You're an animal. Go kill and eat animal. This is deep mind control magic. When you can start redefining what the person remembers, right? So that, and this is why, and what I'm getting to is what it means to be initiated, and how Maria over and over, I should, like she said, you're going to say it over and over. For our people, the only thing that can change the matrix is Maria Orsic's ritual. Now that you've heard this and you understand exactly what she's saying, now you can understand. You're in a repeating program. And here's the straight truth that I've been sent to tell you. The computer program, the only thing that can help you are the gods of the computer program. That's written into the code. It's written into the reality of the matrix, because it properly reflects the first time reality. And the very privileged, and the whole reason really we're here, I'm serious, the whole real reason we're here is we're in the imagination of the God who saved all the races from what you see right before your eyes right now. Rule by force and fraud, use of technological weapons, and the threat to put people in cages. you know, like looming in the background is U.S. concentration camps, private prisons. That's your businessman president for you. He was like, you know what we could make money off of? Human slavery. Called private prison. Just lock these fucking people up. You charge the people twice as much money, and you put these people to work for free. Man, I mean, it's hard for me to describe the atmosphere, the vibration. I want to anybody that's listening in another country. I tell you for real, man, America feels like hell. It feels like hell here. I mean, it's like 300 million sick, pitifully arrogant, but pitifully weak people who stand on nothing more than what brings us together is we're number one, we're the best, just like a sports team. I mean, they literally cheer for America in a war like a sports team. And it's real. I'm sorry, like Maria said, go ahead and speak it, son. Well, I just want to say, on a personal level, like, it's troubling, man. You see, there was okay, everyone talked about 2012, and the Mayan calendar and what was going to happen. And this is what Maria told me. Again, this was all bullshit concocted by the process church magicians. They already planned this, and they just made the calendar thing link up to their astrology, is what they did. They looked at their best. They followed their gods on when to implement this. And it didn't have really anything to do with Mayans or prophecy. Okay? That's where they want you so badly. They want you thinking they're tapped into something you can't tap into. They don't want you to know that the most powerful person they have is Aleister Crowley. And believe me, Maria told me all those years, I mean until last summer, don't speak with your emotions. Don't let your emotions. This Aleister Crowley's powerful. And I'm going to tell the story. And I don't want to, about the group rituals and how we started a huge war by simply opposing these people, by directly saying, I'm not for this. And you best believe I'm going to use my energy to stop it. Like she said, a preordained, predestined mistake. But I got mad because I can't even tell you. I would have to bring other people here. Like Maria said, these things have to happen, Joe. But because, I'll just say it honestly, because I sort of made a mistake by getting emotional, it kind of opened a little bit of a door for him. And Maria said, but this door was open to prove to you who you are and that this shit is real. And I am not, exaggerating, but in a click, everyone in the room felt like crying. And the sweetest girl there, she bust out crying, was just crying hysterically. And just saying, like, I don't know why I'm crying, And I was shaking. And Maria told me, just, sing my name, my magic name. And it helped, but it was still really bad. It felt like she said, the person you love the most died, and you just found out. I mean, it was scary, man. And I felt responsible for everyone there, even though Maria was saying, "Oh no, only to a certain extent, Joe." You know, like, but you know this led to a couple months later a face-to-face meeting with Aleister Crowley. And I think anyone that listens to me knows that I do respect his ability of discipline to meditate and concentrate and overwhelm someone's thoughts. Like Maria said, we would never do that to someone. But you have to, in a sense, like an opposite, you know, every reaction has an opposite equal reaction. You know, it's like you respect powerful things. You know, hello, America, who's trying to start a nuclear war with Russia. You know, America's thing right now before the whole world is to lie, but their actual actions are, we're not afraid of nukes. Use your nukes. Come on. Nuke us. We're going to attack your nuclear defense radar systems. We're going to attack your nuclear bombers so you couldn't strike back. You know, I mean, just like right in their face saying, we're going to overthrow you and take your nukes away from you if you don't use them now on us. Because it's suicidal America, suicide by Russian bear, let alone the rest of the fucking world. And let's just give the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Vril mother a little love, a little thanks. And may we all take a big, deep, remember breath together. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Because what we're going to get into is the high art of Maria Orsic, which she explained to me the week that she told me that this was at least 3 or 4 weeks before the lockdown, before the America declared the pandemic. You know what I mean? Everybody was still working. We went to a concert. And, you know what I mean? A regular concert. Nobody had mask on. It was before the mask. It was before the devastation. And she told me, she put it in my mind, actually. We were dancing around goofing because we've been goofing for a long time. She would sing in my face, but only lip sync. And I'd be like, why don't you go ahead and sing? I know you can sing. And I can hear her saying, what did I say? I said that you said that I would make fun of you. And I said, no, I would not. That you can't do anything bad. I told her, I really don't think I ever remember you ever in a bad mood. She said bad moods were done away with the technology on Venus. Parents got used to saying, you don't like it? Go plug into a simulation. She said that's how we got to where we are. Motherfuckers live in this shit, Joe. She said, you ever see how, she said, you remember how we used to talk about how few people are at the park that we go to every day? I said, yeah, I remember you saying that. And me saying, what the hell? Are Venusians like people on Earth? And I can hear her saying, and what did I say? Mr. Memory. And I know you said, um, as much as I hate the Bible, uh, and she said, and believe it, Joe, they're not they stole this from my God, from the giants. But nevertheless, she said, that's where we know it, in our age. Nothing, Joe, is new under the sun because everything's eternally repeating. She was like, the more powerful you are, the bigger the circle you'll deal with. She said, look, you see some people, they're stuck in a goddamn literal, momentary circle in their thoughts. And we go to help those people, right? There's people who are just stuck in the complexity of how drastically reality don't make sense. Did that make sense? Did that make sense? Did you know what I mean? The complexity, like the weight, the power. It's not that one thing don't make sense. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. It makes no sense that we all agree in America to have a miserable life where we give. I mean, really, imagine, we spend 10 times more than anyone else on bombs and weapons and shit. I mean, just imagine what America could be like, if we weren't so worried about killing. And I'm telling you, like Maria's going to show you, this is an aim and a goal is behind the magic that you see. And the aim and goal is to capture human sacrifice as like a game. And we're going to get into how exactly what she said. And she said, everything's going to change here, Joe, for us in the ritual. I was like, what? I remember I stopped dancing. And I was like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean everything's going to change? And she actually, if you want to know, literally, she said, remember this? And it was like 5 years previous, maybe like 2015, 2016. And she was showing me some horrible shit about society and death squads and shit. And it was just the clearest memory of her. We were in my room doing the ritual. She's like, believe me, our energy scared off every motherfucker that would ever oppose us. She said, let's go outside and sit on the porch and talk. I was like, in my ritual, I was like, yeah, I remember this. I'm remembering my rituals in my ritual. And, photographically. And we were out sitting on the smoking. And she was telling me about her life in Vienna. And everything she would say, I would say some kind of joke. And she's like, you can't pay attention. You can't listen. She's like, one day you're going to wish you listened. And I was like, no, you've taught me to remember. I'll be able to remember it. And she's like, I was doing that to make you do this. But this is a month before COVID. She showed me this and she said, that time of like just having fun and joking, like I'm telling you my story, and were just having fun. Like, you were making jokes about me. You know, in every part of my story, it was so fun. It was so Venusian. She's like, that's what we do back on Venus. She said, I almost cried because you reminded me of when you first became a human. That's what they say, you know. I had other people say that to me. I remember when you first became a human. I'm like, damn, that's crazy, because you're not born. And it felt so normal to hear that. You know, in a memory, to hear someone say, you know, I've known you since you first became a human, you know, because of Maria. Funny. I mean, you know, people, you could just imagine how crazy, you know, people think I am. Oh, you talk to your imaginary friends. These are the same people, right, that put our ancestors to death for talking to their dead ancestors, who are spirits. Oh, yeah, that's imaginary friends, right? And they believe that God's a fucking child murderer, murders his own child. And they're like, you're bad. Earlier today, I was talking about the Inquisitor's Handbook and how, you know, I don't know if this is the exact one. There's a few different ones, but one of them says, arrest and bring before the authorities, the church authorities, all adults, and take away their children. Take away their children to an orphanage and arrest and bring the adults to the church authorities if you find any dark green alcoholic extracts. And it says in there, they say this is medicine, but it's witchcraft. And it gives a list of like black liquid extract, dark green liquid extract, dark red liquid extract. Basically, any sort of herbal medicine, and they killed you and took away your children. Yeah, be proud of that, you fucking Christians. Just like these aren't. I was telling someone today, if I was ever in the United States military, you guys would never know, because I'd hide that. I'd be so embarrassed that I was that stupid ever in my life that I would never ever admit it. I would be like, no, that was someone else. I mean, for real, because as Maria said, we will never listen to anyone. You blew your credibility. You can listen to us, but we're not listening to you. You hear me? You can listen to us, but we're not listening. This is who the Trump people are deceived by. They're always deceived by ex-military, ex-CIA. Oh, I'm a whistleblower. Yeah, you're blowing the whistle, but you're not blowing it on the right people. No matter what distraction you give, unless it's actually the people who committed the crimes and deserve the punishment, then you're not even helping. With all your information, you're not even helping, because Crowley and the black magicians keep getting away with it. And that's why nothing ever changes. And that's why, like she said, Joe, is the vibration growing stronger or weaker? The vibration of evil, the vibration of child abuse and human sacrifice, which is Christianity. You know, Christians, every Sunday they gather to be like, yeah, we are all saved because of the human sacrifice of Jesus, because that's what God needed. He needed a human sacrifice to save him. The blood of bulls and goats wasn't enough for him. He needed Jesus' blood, because it's about blood. You know, he probably drank it, and he had to destroy Jesus' body, you know, so that he wouldn't destroy us later. I mean, this is so psychopathic. It's scary to imagine a powerful person saying, I gotta get this wrath out of me, and I'm just gonna take it out on someone who don't deserve it. That's the scary part. He's unjust. He's unjust. He's unjust and unjust. Like Maria said, who would do that? Who wouldn't punish the actual people who deserve it? Who lets the perpetrators go? And she said, we have one saying on Venus about all this. Never forgive, because you will never forget. You think you'll forget. She said, oh, we try hard. She said, you know what you're good at, Joe? As good as I taught, as good as you are, and the reason I hired you is you have a good gift, like a supernatural gift of recall. She said, but it kind of comes in a polarity balance. That you also have a good ability to forget and to say goodbye, for real goodbye. Like she showed me a person I knew before I came here, and showed me like, that person. And you see the Venusian in them completely. But also, they're not with us completely. So, they're not really in our world. So, they hardly exist to us, even though we do know them. She said, we have people like that. And like she said, like any other real, random, space-time, chance, life that's real, it varies on different degrees of like how well you are friends with someone outside of the community. Like she was like, the first community is the Vril group. Well, actually, the first community is the marriage, the magic marriage, which that you construct, not the gods, but you. Like she said, when there's no government-sanctioned marriage, hello, it's now up to you, what you call marriage. She said, but those are actually built like little communities and kind of like families, in the natural world. Like she said, it's kind of like our evolution of a family. And she said, those in our community can and are only based on frequency match. Like she said, nobody in our neighborhood is with someone who's not exactly like them. And someone might say, that sounds boring, until you realize anything else is going to make you feel those emotions of emptiness, sadness, unbalance, out of balance, imbalance. Obviously, I don't know the definitions of these words, but you get what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying. Like Maria said, it's so much more important to give the people a practical understanding of something deep than fancy words that are just poetic, And we're not at all that. So, here was the message before COVID. I'm going to skip the Trump part because I basically already told that story, that this was, well, no, I should tell the story. Just very quickly, she said, I hate to say this, patriot. And I was like, patriot? Because I never really remembered her saying it. Although, well, no, I do remember her saying that I was the true patriot before. But I knew something was up. I mean, even with this virus shit, and this was, I really believe this was around, it had to be before I would say it was like February 15th to 17th or something. So we're looking at a whole month before the lockdown was March 19th. Of course, the equinox. Of course. Because like I said, and Maria's first thing was her her very first thing was both Biden and Trump are both process church initiates, both Masons, both occult trained, and they're doing magic. Like she said, don't buy the old man Biden, don't know what's going on. She was like, no, for a fact that you don't know what's going on with the technology, and that I'm telling you right now that they had robots in the 50s that would, right this moment, trick you into thinking they were real. Like she said, especially, not me personally, but especially if the robot was a hot woman that was acting like she wanted to have sex with you. She's like, and Joe, she was like, that was 75 years ago. 75 fucking years ago. She said, let me tell you, these people figured out 4.5 million years ago that they were in a simulation. So they built an entire world government, astral world, a ruling hierarchy government, a whole structure. She's like, if you've seen it, it would frighten you. You'd just be like, well, they're going to kill me. And she's like, but it's energy versus energy. And she said they knew exactly the day that their comrade that they love so much, Janice P. Orridge, a founding member of the Process Church, died. March 15th, so 3.5 days later, like a Christ, they resurrected him by truly unleashing the virus on America by, and the virus's technology, it's nanobot technology. This time it was programmed to kill old people and fat people. Next time it'll be programmed to kill all of us, or who knows? Who fucking knows what's going to happen? Yeah, that's the point of I'm talking. But she told me, okay, so this was before, and she told me that the lockdown was going to happen and that she knew why. Right? This was like another way of her like showing me, listen, dude, I'm an expert in this time frame of the Earth simulation. I know what's fucking going on. And she said, what you see going on from 9/11, 2019 to February 17th. She said this has been one big long ritual dedicated to Janice P. Orridge, what they consider the prime number one transgender god in their own crazy slavery religion of slavery, of using other people for your own benefit, And she told me even the name COVID, had something to do with Genesis, that his real name was like David, and like COVID was, it was just like another like way of saying David. You know what I mean? And they're like trying to say like this is the real line of David. And this is the 19th, which again is totally a Crowley magic number, 91. And look this up. You can probably find this. I used to show people this. I'm sure of this fact. The CIA, in a report later, said that they detected that China, just imagine how they're lying, but listen to this. Okay, listen to this. They reported this on 9/12, and they said that China, the day before, had released, that they had like a whistleblower inside knowledge that China had released a biological weapon on 9/11. And this is COVID-19. And in Crowley's book, 91, 9/11, 19, these are all his numbers. Like I said before, if you want to, get some facts about who is the God of these people, tell me it's a coincidence. You can fold the $20 bill and see how the plane is crashing exactly into the building where it actually crashed. Then you can figure out who made that money, and you can, trace it right back to Crowley and the Masons. And he's a Grandmaster Mason that came and showed that he was of course, it originated in England, and he's rich English, and he came over here and showed he was the king of the Masons. He was the beast. He's the one with the crowns. He literally had them, the real crowns, not the bullshit that the slaves are fed. They laugh at that. And so here we go. It's just all, right under the surface, that it's all numbers, letters, magic. And I was like, I literally went like, damn, this sucks. I said, man, dude, life's going to suck from now on. She was like, but the hotter the battle, the sweeter the victory. She's like, we came here for this. And she's like, we're going to do this. We've been training for this the whole time. And so the first ritual was, I believe, on, the anniversary date of Miguel Serrano leaving here. And Maria wants you to know, student, that she told me, okay, before we did the first ritual, she gave me all the instructions. I want you to do a group ritual, get all the people, invite everyone we initiated, who were all women except for my son, which, she made an exception for. And tell them that this is very important, because this is a foundation of what keeps us strong and what will keep us strong through what's coming to America. And without this strong foundation, we won't be able to see what's not seen, and have faith that we can leave America and live our days out happily somewhere else in peace, guided by the goddess, because she knows all the rivers. And that ritual, she was there, and because she was directing it. And I do believe her very first thing she said is, just know that, one of you women need to step forward and run the ritual, because a man isn't supposed to run the ritual. Joe can be here. He can fully participate as a initiated girl. But no, if you can hear me and you believe I'm here, that Joe's just doing this until one of you can, step up. And as far as I know, they could not hear her. But anyway, she told me that I brought 2 people with me. And she said, you're really going to like this. She said, and this was like in the beginning while we were dancing. And she's like, just keep dancing, and when we settle down, we'll all sit down and talk, And she's like, this is Irene Serrano, and Miguel Serrano. And I was like, whoa. I was like, thank you, brother, for appearing to me and telling me to fight. It helped me so much. It helped me so much. And I was just like, the books, oh my God. I said, Gnosis is the greatest book ever. He said, I know you. You've told me that. You think that. I said, it's the most supernatural book ever. I said, do you know what Gnosis is? He said, no. I said, it's everything the Christians wish the Bible really was. He was like, okay. He looked happy with that. He smiled at that. And Irene Serrano is so beautiful and has such a great vibe. Every time I looked at her, I was like, you look like Marilyn Monroe. And that's the greatest compliment I can give to him. I said, like, genuinely, I said, I almost think that you are her. And she's like, Marilyn, Norma, Mama. She's like, Mama. She very much was channeling, concentrating, trying to reach, women like me and Maria. That's why they killed her. They didn't want her to make art. They were telling me Marilyn wanted to make art, like deep meaning revelations, revelation knowledge, like knowledge she knew that people in the 60s did not really have, early 60s. Yeah, she was reading and reading and reading like Mama Orsic. And that is when Miguel Serrano told me to my face that he wouldn't be here without Maria. That it was her that was the connection, the psychic connection to Lou, to Big Lou. And it was them that gave me my mission. And their wisdom of sending me, or like he said, inspiring me to volunteer to stay in the simulation as it repeats. He told me, I'm the first man, Joe, as you would say, who had their life repeating and had to break it the same way you do. He said, like, not all men are men. I go, I am learning that they're just computer programs of real men. He was like, exactly. He's like, it's the robot race. You know what I mean? It could be black, white, Asian. It's what Ra sees. It's what the sun exposes. The sun exposes that there is no living soul. And that no man born with a living soul can work for the clampdown. You know what I mean? Like Maria, surprisingly, like she said, we don't study this shit. Per se, we don't, but we care. But we care how a country's run. We care if someone's being ripped off out of their life energy, which we call work. So we are involved that way. And like she said, like it or not, matter, who likes it or who doesn't, the world is changing. And this world, is going to start to realize, like she said, you're just way ahead, like as a living prophecy of the world realizing city life has to go. We have to abolish town, state, city, country, all of it has to be abandoned for smaller communities, which we can call countries. It could be a sovereign country of 300 people or a sovereign country of 1,000 people. This is what's going to have to be done, because she said this is the only way to change the entire vibration. Like she said, I showed the other day how bad a Cambodian prison was, and what did your true essence say? I can't live in a world that does that to people, that don't care if they're guilty or innocent. It's just a business. I was like, I can't do it. I have to get. And she's like, where? You're talking about dying. I'm like, I know. But I'm being honest. Really, I'm supposed to sleep nice like a little baby when I know that there's people who did absolutely nothing that are being tortured, and just the pure torture of just locking someone in a cage alone, or locking them with people they don't know or like, or might hate them, might beat them, might kill them, is just to one single person. Doing that to one single person is so bad that it truly, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. And listen to this. She said, man, the community has to be completely logical. She said, so the people that are, doing bad things, so what you do is you throw them out of the community, right? And I was like, damn, that don't sound right. So they can go do it to someone else. That's what she said. So they can go to, that's what, I was like, no. She's like, you see, the community cannot get bigger than its ability to actually do something about the vibration of evil. And she said, am I talking about just violence against people? No. She said, I'm talking about trying to solve people's actual root problems of like why they're stealing, or why they're, losing their temper so easy, or this or that. You know what I mean? She said, do you really? She said, Joe, I'm really telling you that this is Venus. That shit is broken down into, very isolated shit. And she said, we don't feel any fear, but in the back of our minds is someday, one way, somehow, seems like things have to change. Like she said, for a long, long time, we've said, it seems too good to be true that no one interferes in our lives. And she said, and that's because we spend most of it sitting in the park, or sitting in our own house, or laying in our own bed, meditating and living what we want to do with the people. And like she said, I told you from the very beginning, I'm here because the Earth simulation, the hologram, is so important to people back home. And so she was showing me, okay, and she told me from the before we started the group rituals. Each group ritual will have a theme. It's going to represent my message. That, like, it's going to be meta intelligent. It's going to speak for itself, and you're not going to be a controller. It's almost like it will be scripted. And I think this was the second ritual. I may, could be mixing them up. But the second one was George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Paine. And Maria had me all ready to read certain passages from George Washington's visions of America, New Atlantis in the future, and the danger that we were going to be in one day because of our wealth being used to do evil. And one of the girls was a little drunk before, and we let her be because we love her. But it also played into the script that America is drunk on a lot more than alcohol. But like at the heart of it, a meaningless, empty culture. A frivolous culture. Maria was like, I want you to say frivolous. I said, okay. And I get it. It is. Totally. And like she said, when they least expect it, it comes. It comes every time because that's the storyline. That's the ancient, repeating story. And because it's repeating so hardcore and people are so blind, is where they take humor from this. And they also really take pride in what they can do to people who they know came here from Venus for a certain reason. You know what I mean? They know who you are simply by your astrology. They're so experienced in this realm, so much in control. They've been locked here for so long, and they're kind of scarily like, hey, why would I even want to leave? What, you think life's better somewhere else? And like the Timothy Wiley guy said to me, well, you're basically in the training of doing the same thing I'm doing, just constantly living. I was like, yeah, but you live here. I'm going to live in a world that I imagine with people who vibrate like me. And he straight up said to me, because you're boring. And I was like, well, okay, whatever. He's like, you're not complete. And I swear, that's when Maria was like, we've been here a while. I think it's time to go. Not because she feared it, but like she said to me later, he was pretty interesting till right then. But Maria, she had a very specific plan for the second ritual. And that was to read, first to let everything just transpire. And the girl, we were about to pick a rune. And George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine were with Maria, and and I could feel the energy. It was like the craziest, very pure, balanced, reasoned, intelligent, shamanistic energy. I told Maria, I said, man, there are 3 shamans. And she was like, yeah, totally. She said, anybody that knows anything knows they got to know their self to know anything. And she just bust out crying and just started wailing like nobody knows, what I've been through. And Maria said, just let it all happen, Joe, because it's a skit. It's a play. And she's playing out America before the founders of America. She's saying to the founders, I have a good heart, but I'm drunk, emotional, fucked up, sick, mind controlled, worn down, tired, threatened. I mean, it's just, my whole complaint is that people don't complain in America. They act like they love it. They wave a fucking flag and say we're the best. They love to say we support the troops. Doing what? Killing innocent people. We support the troops doing what? Helping Israel everywhere we go. I guess it's a coincidence that all our major wars are with the enemies of Israel in their region, bordering Israel, not America. We never go to, our enemies are way over in the other world. Oh, I guess it's a coincidence. They happen to be right by Israel. Happens to all go back to that Bible. It happens to all really to go back with the process church beginning, which began in Israel 1947, the death of Aleister Crowley, the Messiah, the beast, the dual Messiah, why is he the dual Messiah? Because in your theology, right in black and white, God creates good, God creates evil because it's him. He's good and he's evil. And he's even jealous sometimes when people say, oh, somebody else killed and wiped out people. He's like, no, that was me through them. I'm the bloodthirst. And thank the gods it's all a myth. And even Crowleyanity, the hippie movement, Hollywood, all the brainwashing, strangely, is a paper tiger that really has no real foundation. The foundation, they'll show you, absolutely, is Crowley, his books, and was who he reveals as his true self. That's their deeper teaching is he's like, yeah, I found out my guide, my teacher was my true self, and I can guide you. And let me tell you, it's real. You don't need Crowley. You can do it tonight. You can pray to the true self, and he will guide you, or she will guide you. You can say, teach me. If I am so far from being able to think or have the energy to get to the levels I need to communicate with you, help me get there. True self, intervene in my life. True self, show me that you are God over me. I am just a projection, and I am thinking because why? The true self is that sophisticated. That's what a lot of this is about. It's about the process church knowing who's really plugged into the matrix and knowing how sophisticated, powerful, and magic you can be, and knowing that the masses who are plugged into the matrix don't know what the fuck's going on and will side whatever they think keeps them safe. Support the troops, support the troops. And then there's the good, the targets. And let's not worry, like I started this talk really feeling, and I speak protection over each and every one of you. And the comfort, like our sister Helki Rain got, and watch her video. Helki Rain, tarot reader or something like that, and Mother Mary. She's got a video called something Mother Mary Intervenes, or Mother Mary Came to Me. It's very moving. It's very beautiful. She's a wonderful sister, and that's from Maria. Maria's the one that keeps bringing her up, because that's what we do. In real time, in the Matrix, we help people, comfort people, guide people. And then actually, that was the first ritual when COVID started. Then the next ritual after that is when things were a little off, and probably the most important sister wasn't there, but her daughter called her and she came late because she's so sweet. But like Maria said, let me guarantee you there wasn't many people doing this. But Maria basically had me perform a ritual where we denounced Genus Peorage, denounced the Process Church, denounced Crowley, all its power, all its previous mind control, brainwashing. Everything to do with the energy of all of it, the energy of all the music, that was intended to do these things. It's like programming something to do something. It works. It works according to the meditation and concentration powers of the person who put it there. So yeah, music can be dangerous, especially, when you know that it's commercial and you know that they're promoting it. Usually they're promoting it for a bad reason, because there's some well, just to tell you real quick, I was delivering Maria's message in this group ritual, and she was like, show them a picture of Genesis Peorage. I showed them and they all went, ew, and I went, yeah, a disgusting fucking fat piece of garbage, a disgusting, just horror show of a person. He never had a real sex change, but I think he had, fake breast. So he's, a ugly, old English dude with tits, dressed as a woman with a bunch of woman makeup on, with like a posh English accent. I'm not kidding you. He's rich as fuck. He's super rich. And in the video I was showing him, he was bragging about being like one of the heads of the Hells Angels biker gang. And the interviewer was like, aren't they organized crime? And he was like, you betcha. Just like, so, like, we don't worry about police. We talk about it right out in open. And he was talking about how he designed, a lot of the Hells Angel leather jackets through the 70s, 80s, 90s. And another very prominent, all this verifies if you want to research it. One of the most prevalent MTV video makers was a very high up Process Church person, including Kenneth Anger, who also did a lot of album covers and early videos in the 70s of hippie bands. These are hardcore occultists who believe in Armageddon. And this guy was, been in bands with Genus Peorage. Genus Peorage wants to be known as the father of electronic music, because that's what he did. He was in a very disturbing, like one of the first electronic bands in, I guess, the late 70s, called Throbbing Gristle. You hate to even say it. And then Psychic TV was his main sort of business, which then he founded a cult called the Psychic Temple, where they, got deep into initiation and Crowley magic, which, without any doubt, in plain black and white, if you read, he clearly says, this is what you should be doing, and this is the highest way of doing it to sacrifice a child. He says it right in his book. I mean, and that's why they kicked him out of Italy. They said, dude, you wrote in a book to sacrifice children. See, they were like, go ahead and fuck each other. We don't care what you do in that house. Fuck each other. But you wrote in a book that you're in here sacrificing children. And let me guarantee you, I have the passages. Dude, he talks about molesting his daughter as a baby. And Rose, his wife, Rose, in a biographer's book who was interviewing her for the book, quoted her as saying, I was basically fine with everything he did. And this is a quote. And she said, until he demanded that her to practice sex magic with our infant daughter. Oh, I'm sorry to have to say that, people, but this is who rules the world, dude. You want to know. And as this was all going on in this third group ritual, as you said, and I'll end on this, and we'll continue. But I started, it was just like a fierce vibration came in the room of I can't even describe it. You had to be there to feel it, to know how real it was. And this is the night when the CD disappeared. After the girl was crying and stuff, and after everyone left, yeah. And I started saying, I rebuke you, fat, ugly demon, you stupid fuck. I got really emotional. I couldn't take it anymore. Like Maria said, it had to happen, Joe. And she was like, even though, I told you not to do that, but it had to happen and you couldn't help yourself. She said, believe me, I made the same mistake. It's not really a mistake. It's just not wise. It's not wise to get emotional. Like she said, if you were playing a concert or something, you would give the best advice to a guitar player or something, and the best advice in this magical fight is not to get emotional and not to turn to petty insults, because it's just a waste of energy. She said, but it's happening because you are pointing out in your own emotional way the essence difference. And like she said, and I opened my mouth in the ritual and I said, if you really want to know, it's all just reflected right in reality. Our goddess is a beautiful, caring, loving woman. This is their God. He's disgusting, and yes, they're juxtaposed. I'm with this woman. She is against them. I'm not the one who made this up. I didn't even know any. Like I said, I was about, or no, not even about. I was already being deceived because I thought really smart people like Michael Tsarian, or other people that were saying, oh, you misunderstand Crowley. He's just showing you the whole spectrum. He's not saying he's these things. Blah. I'm like, and then Manly P. Hall, of course, the great Masonic apologist. Oh no, the Masons are good. I swear to you, we just try to bless people. We're just historians, really, just trying to give you really accurate history. Better than the church. We're more than Christians. And if you only knew how processed church that is, to be like, I'm a Christian. I'm more than a Christian. I take the Bible literally. God is Satan. How do we know that? God created Satan out of, from his own imagination, like he created us. That's the first level of deception. And they bring the initiate deeper and deeper, and say, you know what? Actually, what we're calling God and Satan is actually a person. And you can become like that person. You hear that, like Adam and Eve here, eat this, you can become like God. This is exactly what they do. And they say, you're Eve. Here's your chance to rebel against Christianity and join us occultists, And they're like, we have a whole lifestyle waiting for you, a whole life of rituals. Like Maria said, whole life of wasting your time. Yeah, just repeating fucking bullshit that Crowley repeated so he can watch you and get off on it, that you're a dumb slave that just does shit. Like Maria said, have I ever had you do anything that's meaningless? I said, no. And she said, didn't I even tell you don't need incense or candles? She said, what did I tell you? You could just sit on the bed and imagine the incense and candles. And she said, I'm not against the incense and candles or oils or anything, but you don't need them. You're powerful enough. You can do it from where you're at because you can move onto a level that's outside of space and time. And that is the truth about who we are. And, we'll continue this, but this is the actual moment in the ritual where Maria was like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to experience this yourself. This is going on, Joe, right now. And I could hear shit going on in my house, and I could hear, people speaking to me that weren't Maria. I'm telling her, like, dude, people are here that aren't supposed to be here. And she's like, Joe, each girl here brought a whole world in here with her. We gave them mushrooms. They're letting it out. She's like, this is what it means to be a witch, to be a shaman. She's like, just control the space and let what's supposed to happen. And as I began to saying, the worst feeling you could ever fucking feel magically hit the room. And I magically felt a wave of fear, come from everybody there. And I had done, probably 400 rituals by then. It didn't make me afraid because I had been through this many, many, many times of being attacked by these people and learning how to, energetically protect myself. But like she said, the best way through that protection is a person, like a person you like. It's not that they're possessed or carrying that spirit or anything, but it's just that they're targeted. And targeted on a very high mental level where it's very hard to discern if you're thinking your own thoughts because they're high thoughts, they're revelatory thoughts. I'm talking, this is deep process church magic war against individuals. To really, like she said, it's the most banned thing where we come from, to invade someone's thoughts is so very wrong. But let me tell you, Maria guided us through the ritual, and she had me sing her magic name, which calmed everyone down just enough that we could get back to normal. And we leveled the vibe out. And as we needed a very powerful person. And as soon as she got there, the great Mindy, everything was as soon as she opened her mouth and made a tone, just one letter, everything was better. Everything was all right. Her presence, immediately, in a miraculous way, because what we need each other, but we equally are damaged by mixing with people that we shouldn't, because of the energy. Biggest Om to you, listener. Peace, love, and light on 6/6/2025. Lewis, Big Lewis, Mother Maria, and I love you so, 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 so much.
Maria leads the way.